So, back for another VGC guide, and this time we are looking at Murkrow, and also Honchkrow. This is the second time that a pre-evolution is better than the fully evolved Pokemon. That is exclusively because of Prankster. This is the only Prankster Tailwind user in the format. We don't have Whimsicott anymore in this format at the moment. We have Priority Gale Wings Tailwind from Talonflame to be able to set up Tailwind, but that is not as good as Prankster because you can have your Gale Wings broken. This can always just go for a Prankster Tailwind. So that's always going to be a plus for it and make it good in the format. I do not think it is an S-tier Pokemon. I think that people are defaulting to Murkrow because of the fact that it's the only Prankster Tailwind, and because it can haze away a Dondozo. Like, that is always a good thing. But that's the default at the moment. People are just defaulting to that. It's good, don't get me wrong. Definitely an A, at least. Don't think it's S. I don't think it's one of the best Pokemon in the format. It's just good at what it does because it's the only one. So you kind of have to. And I don't think you need to run Haze on Murkrow either. This set means that it is not dead weight if you don't need to Haze. Haze is brilliant, don't get me wrong. Brilliant Dondozo counter. And it's really good synergy with things like Make It Rain, when you're going for a Goldengo, going for a Make It Rain, and then you haze away the Make It Rain drop, so you can just do it as powerful as before. But when you don't want to haze, Murkrow is kind of dead weight. It is just set Tailwind, maybe Foul Play, and that's it. So this set is still going to be able to beat Dondozo, while not being dead weight when you are not facing Dondozo. Because a lot of the Dondozo teams, when they see Murkrow, don't even go with Dondozo. Or just have their counters ready, have their Murkrow counters ready so that it's kind of pointless. So this is not going to be dead weight at all, because you've got damage reduction. You can spam Snarl. You can spam Feather Dance. And that is damage control that means that Murkrow is doing something every single turn. It can still go for Foul Play Chip. Just be careful as well with Feather Dance because you reduce the damage of your Foul Play. But if you are going for a Feather Dance, that's probably worth it because you wanted the damage reduction rather than the extra damage from Foul Play. Because Snarl and Feather Dance, brilliant damage control. This is kind of like Will-O-Wisp, except it can't miss. And also, it's not permanent, so they can switch out of it. But Snarl is still brilliant. Be able to just spam these moves, for sure. That means Murkrow will not be dead weight. And that is one of the downsides of running just the Haze Murkrow. That has a huge potential to just click Tailwind, and now it's not really doing much. This will always be able to do something. Even in Trick Room, even if they get a Trick Room, you can still Feather Dance something in Trick Room. So that is pretty sweet as well. So this EV spread is able to survive a Sylveon Hyper Voice, and also a Jolly Tyranitar Rock Slide, and a round of Sand Chip. Most likely, most of the time. So that is what I've optimized the EVs for. Seemed like this was the best way around of doing it. I don't think there's room for any speed on the Murkrow. If you did want to drop the chance of Tyranitar, then feel free to drop a little bit and increase the speed. But you need at least this much special defense because you do want to survive a Sylveon Hyper Voice for sure. And then you don't need any offenses at all because you've got Snarl being support, you've got Foul Play that doesn't care. So this would be an entirely reasonable Murkrow, and I think it's probably one of the better ones for not being dead weight. I know I've said that already multiple times, but that's the point, right? Because Murkrow can just click Tailwind and your teammates win, but if that's not the case, then Murkrow is dead weight. This will not be dead weight. So here are some alternatives to put on Murkrow. This is not a recommended moveset, this is alternative moves to fit onto the regular Murkrow. You should always have Foul Play and Tailwind on the EVO like Murkrow, for sure. I say specify EVO like Murkrow because there's a couple of other items that are worthwhile, but it should always have Foul Play and Tailwind, for sure. And then the other two moves are open to what you want. Obviously, Haze is still brilliant at countering Dondozo and getting rid of all the drops and all that stuff. Still a very good move. But has potential to be dead weight if you don't need to Haze at all. Icy Wind can give you further speed control, so that you can go for Tailwind and then Icy Wind. The combination that Tornadus had back in the previous generation is very good as well at controlling the speed. So if you match Tailwinds, which is entirely reasonable, because Murkrow is quite a common Pokemon, then you win the Speed War, because you get the -1 as well as the Tailwind. If you want to seriously win the Speed War, you can use Quash as well. It gets Prankster Quash. If you're using Prankster Quash, maybe you should be running Sableye instead, because then it can do other supporty things, and you've already clicked the Tailwind. So Quash is still absolutely brilliant on Murkrow, for sure. Prankster Quash, brilliant move. But do you need it as much when you've got the potential of just Prankster Tailwind? Should you have been using a Sableye if you're going for Prankster Quash? Is the question you need to ask. Taunt is always good, because if you're going for Tailwinds, you don't want Trick Room to be going up, so you can stop all of the supportive stuff, and like Trick Room and all the other things you want to stop, so Taunt would be a very good move. You've seen the combination of Tailwind and Taunt in previous generations on Whimsicott, on Tornadus, on Talonflame, so that's still going to be a perfectly viable combination as well. If you are able to pick up KOs quickly, like if you're going for just Tailwind and blast through with offense, then if you pick up 2 quick KOs, Perichon could just win the game as soon as you click it, so that'd be reasonable. Prankster Substitute is a good move. That will allow Murkrow some more survivability on the field because you'll be able to substitute before they attack into your Murkrow. So that could allow you a bit more survivability in that regard. Just be careful, if you substitute in front of a Sylveon, that's not a good idea because they can Hyper Voice through your substitute. Thunder Wave is extra speed control as well. Practice Thunder Wave is always a good thing, so you can win the speed control war that way. Can be used over Icy Wind as well. Icy Wind does a little bit of chip and hits both, but spoilers for the next one. Thunder Wave is going to be able to do more damage reduction and have that paralysis chance as well. And if you want it, again, not to be dead weight, Screech can help your partners do more damage, while also increasing your foul play damage as well. It's shaky accuracy though, so I probably wouldn't go with Screech because I don't trust 85% accuracy. But those are some other entirely reasonable moves that you could put onto your Murkrow instead of Snarl and Feather Dance. Like I said, foul play, Tailwind, guarantees. Do not run Murkrow if you're not running that, if you have the Evioli Murkrow. But then the other 2 moves are open to what are your favourites, basically. But there's a couple of other good items on Murkrow. Covert Cloak is good as well. You've seen it on Talonflame. That's probably the most common item on Talonflame, so if you just go for Fake Out Turn 1 to stop the Tailwind, it doesn't work. And Murkrow doesn't really care too much about having bulk if its job is to just, I am setting Tailwind. You cannot stop me setting Tailwind. Because it is a dark type, it can't be Prankster Taunted. It is Covert Cloaked, so it can't be faked out. Your Tailwind is going up if you have Covert Cloak. Guaranteed. But then you have no bulk. You need Eviolite to have bulk, so there's just no point. You might as well just sacrifice all your bulk and be offensive. That is, again, like, this is not a recommended moveset on your Murkrow. I am saying choose one of those attacks, maybe 2. Choose an attack over foul play, because you are able to make use of 85 is not bad. 85 is not terrible. So if you just go max attack / max special attack if you're running Dark Pulse, then you're still going to be doing okay chip damage as well. So that if you do survive through the fake out turn on the Covert Cloak, then you can still launch off a reasonable attack. Brave Bird with 150 attack, that's not bad. It's going to be reasonable chip for sure. Sucker Punch, and again, priority. Going to be doing okay chip with 150. That's not too bad. Sucker Punch will do a reasonable chunk of damage to some Pokemon, and if you put them in range of Sucker Punch, then it doesn't matter what they go for at that point, because you'll be able to KO them. So Sucker Punch could be a nice move as well. I would maybe not have just Sucker Punch as the attacking move, because if you do need to do damage and they just don't attack, then that could be quite bad. I would probably have Brave Bird and Sucker Punch if I was going with Sucker Punch, so that I could still do a good chunk of damage regardless. And Assurance is going to allow you to match the Brave Bird power without recoil, and also be the Dark type attack. Dark type attack as well. So then you can just go for something faster than Murkrow. They attack, Assurance is now 120 base power. That would still do reasonable damage. Very justifiable on Covert Cloak. Obviously Focus Sash is going to be I can't even spell Focus Sash. Focus Sash is going to be a reasonable item on Murkrow as well, because then you can just still do exactly the same thing. You can max out its attack / special attack if you're Dark Pulse, and then you'll be able to actually do some okay damage as well, while being super fast, and being able to make use of your own Tailwind. So yeah, Murkrow is the only Prankster Tailwind user in the format, so it's going to be very, very usable indeed, because if you have Prankster Tailwind, you're usable, and the best Prankster Tailwind Pokemon will be very good in the format. So by default, Murkrow has to be good in the format. Definitely not S tier though. Now we move on to Honchkrow. This isn't as good. This is a C, definitely. It's just got no bulk. 100 base HP is reasonable, but it's let down by 52 in its defenses. But that's no bulk at all. Like, don't try and bulk out Honchkrow. You won't bulk it out enough to justify the attack / speed drop. Just accept that you will be KO'd whenever you are attacked, and go for Kamikaze. With Brave Birds, with a Razor Claw, with Super Luck, 50% chance to crit. A critical hit Brave Bird off of that much attack is KOing things. So if you're able to position Honchkrow correctly, you just OHKO things. 50% of the time. 100% if it's Night Slash. But then you've got 50% critical hit Sucker Punches. That's going to hurt. At priority, that will hurt a lot as well. And your speed is reasonable. If you speed control the Honchkrow correctly, it will be able to position to just OHKO some things. For sure. Because Super Luck and Razor Claw is a pretty good combination. 50% for Sucker Punch and Brave Bird, 100% for Night Slash, so that's not too bad at all. But it's also got a reasonable other ability in Moxie. Like, Moxie's going to be able to snowball pretty quickly. Like I said, you don't care about bulk, don't care about Life Orb recoil. You will take a huge chunk of damage when you Brave Bird, with the Life Orb and the recoil from Brave Bird, but you are likely going to get a KO, because that's a pretty strong attack. Then you get +1, and then your next attack is also going to OHKO something. If you get a Moxie boost, you are OHKOing something next turn. Almost certainly. And I would recommend Assurance over Night Slash on the Lifeorb Honchkrow, because this one was so that you get a guaranteed critical hit. This has the potential to be a lot stronger. Because if you, like I said previously with this Murkrow, the Assurance could be 120 base power and be matching Bravebird on the dark side as well. So that could be pretty sweet. But Honchkrow, it's basically a kamikaze Pokemon because of its bulk. And it's not really fast enough to be able to do that. Like, it's got Sucker Punch, and that's not bad. But its bulk is just terrible. So it's let down a little bit by that. If it's kept Prankster, Honchkrow would probably be used a bit more than Murkrow. The Eviolite is nice, but then you would be able to justifiably bulk out Honchkrow if you did have Prankster Tailwind still. Like, that would be okay. Like, going up to the hundreds there. Now, that's reasonable bulk, for sure. And then justifiably Prankster Tailwind on the Honchkrow. But losing it for Moxie instead means that Murkrow is the only one in the format that has Prankster Tailwind, so that is going to be the Premier Setter. This might be the longest guide I've done so far. That's quite funny.